Hey, you wonderful contrarians, Sabrina, Pam, Kathy, Gary, Ray.
If you notice, we only invite men on this program now who have facial hair because we now have a new policy at the Contrarian, either women or men with facial hair. That's the choice.
And if you want to join, you have to start growing it. I guess that's the
You
thing.
could remember the circus of our childhood, Jen, the bearded lady. You could invite the bearded lady to be a guest.
Yes, so there we go. Good morning, Indianapolis. We love, Steve, to see people not only from the West Coast, because it means they've gotten up early to join us, but also from all over the globe. And every once in a while, we get someone who is clearly having their dinner someplace in Eastern Europe and has joined
We
us.
like it when cocktail hour and breakfast collide.
Exactly.
Right. So it would be the whiskey with, not the coffee with.
Yes, exactly. No, that's a good idea. Hot toddies with the Contrarians. And I see Canada has joined us. We always apologize to Canada because we really love Canada and we're very sorry. And we have Chapel Hill. And, Steve, I even have someone who joins me from the little town in South Jersey where I was born. So whenever I see Morristown, New Jersey, I think, how is that possible? But, and we have many people piling in. Asheville, Fairfax, where I lived for a number of years. I am now a proud DC resident. I got to say, the number of DC flags that are up and around is remarkable. People have really come together on this issue. Boise, we love you in Boise, California.
Are they right side up or are they upside down in distress?
Yeah, most of them are right side up. And that's a good sign, I think, because it says, we have pride in being in DC. We have aspirations. We are in distress. And sometimes our friends in Congress do not do their best to uphold our interests. But we will keep fighting. We will keep trying. Buffalo, New York. Speaking about cold weather, Rochester, New York, also lovely to have winter there in May. And we have the Philly suburbs. I lived in the Philly suburbs on the Jersey side. We are now well past 1,000, so we can end the pitter patter. For those of you who do not recognize him, this is Steve Beschloss, who is a man of many talents. He's an author. He's a professor. He has become a powerful public intellectual. He has his Substack, America. He is active on multiple social media platforms. Steve, it is so great to have you. Welcome.
Well, thanks so much. And it's a delight to be with you and Norm.
Tell us how you made the gradual transition from author, private intellectual to really a public figure and a public commentator on our times.
Yeah, thanks so much. So, I mean, the simple answer is I've had a long career in journalism where I, very much felt like I had to hew very closely to the facts, and I was very reluctant to share opinions. Let's go back to 2016. The last 9 years, it became increasingly clear to me that it was important to say what I was thinking and what I was feeling and what was right and what was wrong, what was true and false. It was what was normal and what was really crazy. And I understood. I've written for lots of places: the New Yorker and the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune and New Republic and Smithsonian, lots of places. And sometimes there was a first person aspect to the work that I did, and and the narrative work that I've done. A book about Lee Harvey Oswald, his relationship to his mother. All of those, they hewed very close to the facts, which is something that I still care about. Facts still matter, but I think I understood that it was more and more important to frame our reality as best as I could. And that just meant saying more strongly what I was thinking and I was feeling. And honestly, when I did that, what I discovered was that people needed it. People appreciated it. And in some ways, I think, my world, at least in terms of my public profile and my public work, expanded dramatically because people did need exactly that.
Absolutely. And that is a very similar journey that others have made. And we're blessed to have a whole series of public intellectuals from Ruth Ben-Ghiat to you to Cox Richardson to others that really, I think, are enriching the public dialogue.
Yeah.
And
it's complicated. I mean, I've been on faculty, in journalism schools. I'm actually on faculty as an adjunct at NYU now, and it's always a little bit of a situation. What can you say? What can't you say? In these days, what does it mean to be a journalist, and what are your responsibilities? And the old tropes don't work anymore about objectivity and neutrality and detachment. I mean, all of those things are obviously a problem that have helped the regime.
Jen and I were talking yesterday. We have a motto which we took from Jim Acosta, who's another one who was early actually in mainstream media to understand that the rules are different in an autocratic regime. He got it from Christian Amanpour. We're truthful, not neutral.
Yes.
And here's Jen,
No,
hearing Steve talk, it actually takes me back to my conversations when I was a diplomat in the Czech Republic, former communist country. My conversations with the former dissidents, Václav Havel, Ivan Klima, both wonderful authors as well, Sasha Vondra and the others, they did not have the luxury of stepping back from reality to take an Olympian posture as they were fighting an autocratic regime and say, well, perhaps the dictator has a point. We need to, in this moment, utilize journalism to tell the unvarnished truth, no matter how unpleasant or difficult or dangerous it may be. But at the Contrarian, Jen and I have kind of gone one step further, and we're proud of it. I'm more of she's always on my case. Don't boast, Norm, but because what we've built together by accident, Steve, we built it by accident with all of these wonderful, there's over 2,000 of them on now, with all these wonderful people. Because we're owned by nobody, we had profits.
Yeah,
and
independence matters a lot in this context. And guess
but
what?
It goes beyond. It goes beyond, and I'll let you speak, because we took the profits and we used them to engage in litigation. The profits all support. So it's not just that we're active in our journalism and our coverage. We're actually out there fighting with the Contrarians for our democracy. And that's a very unique journalism model.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I have to say, I can feel all the time with my own readers and subscribers, that it's fine to simply diagnose a problem. But if it leaves people feeling powerless, feeling no agency, don't know what to do, then actually you're just adding to the problem, not helping. And so I think the challenge is to diagnose, but also provide some hope if you can find it, and provide some guidance of like, how do you go forward and how do you actually participate in a way that's helpful.
And that is a perfect segue to the present and to my piece today, my friends, which talks about how we meet this authoritarian dictatorial onslaught. The administration has taken a tragic shooting and turned it into a cudgel, turned it into a pretext for a First Amendment evisceration, a crackdown on, quote, the left, by which they mean anyone who disagrees with them. And we can expect not only what we saw previously, like lawsuits that were filed frivolously and then an extortion pretext settlement, but more exacting punishment. We've seen it, and we will continue to see it in prosecution of political opponents, and we're going to see, I think, an onslaught against groups as Mom and Apple Pie, as Common Cause, and the
churches, charities.
Yes. Steve, talk to us about the magnitude of the threat. We've gotten somewhat inured to outrages, but the decision of the President of the United States to articulate that at least half the population, maybe more, is a sort of ally of a violent assassin is beyond outrageous.
Yeah.
And it sets the pretext for really horrible conduct.
Yeah, it's outrageous, and let's just say I think it incites violence. It lays a predicate for being able to at the very least incite stochastic terrorism. Random acts where people are feeling really wound up by this. But I think it's important to talk about the fact that there's a context for this. I mean, he talked in the campaign about being the retribution candidate. He talked about being a retribution president, and I made a point of looking in October, the month before the election, was when he was talking about the left as being the enemy from within, right? He specifically said, we pledge to you that we will root out the communists, the Marxist fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country. Right, that's before the election. So you fast forward to this moment, and it's pretty obvious that he found a pretext to be able to escalate what he had been wanting to do all along. And now it seems like, the Republicans are all fine just going right along with it. And I honestly feel like this is a turning point. I call it a tipping point, but a turning point in terms of a much darker chapter to come.
I think so. And if, frankly, the issue was political violence, would we have pardoned Mr. Trump, the January 6 people who were instigators of a violent putsch, who went to the Capitol, who were threatening to kill the vice president, who, in fact, wound up really taking the lives of many police officers and wounding hundreds. That's, of course, the great, it's not even hypocrisy, it's a kind of malicious, selective outrage.
And
Norm,
I just say, I mean, part of the gaslighting here is that he's,
yes,
trying to tie it to crime and saying, the radicals on the right, well, they're just interested in trying to fight against crime. It's
right.
the ones on left that are really interested in destroying the country. So, I mean, he makes it clear how false, how fallacious
And we
the
have a
whole enterprise is.
contrarian. I have a contrarian piece coming that is going to explain why that is a lie using evidence, science, and statistics. The problem is disproportionately on the far right. We track political violence in the United States. We track it over a period of years, and that is one of many lies the president is telling. Go ahead, Jen.
And in fact, there was a report done by the FBI that they took offline this week that showed exactly that. So the knowing deception, the conscious gaslighting is really beyond belief. Norm, we fight this, as I suggested in my column, in many ways. In the states, where I have a recommendation for governors and legislators to borrow from the California playbook and pass laws or constitutional amendments that prohibit private employers as well as public employers from firing people for exercising First Amendment rights. But we also see this in lawsuits and from whistleblowers who can elevate and shine a light on this. There's the Comey lawsuit, the 3 FBI agents who have brought suit. And now we have word from a whistleblower, presumably, that there is pressure from within the administration to indict Tish James. Talk a little bit about the role of these lawsuits and whistleblowers to help educate the public and really bring these facts to light.
Yeah, one of the lessons that we learn from studying other contemporary and historic autocracies and how democratic backsliding has been stopped and reversed, and lessons from failure is use every lever of pro-democracy, peaceful, lawful, vigorous power you have. And one of the most important levers over the past 7 months plus of the Trump administration has been litigation, where we've had FBI and DOJ whistleblowers going to court. We've worked on many of those cases, thanks to you, Contrarians. Another case, perhaps the most important of them all, one of the most important, was filed last week by the wonderful folks at the Koskoff law firm, by Abby Lowell, by Mark Zaid. And there they ripped away how Kash Patel has illegally, he himself said, this is illegal, but I'm firing you. I'm paraphrasing. I'm firing you because the White House is making me, to senior FBI officials. It's not only wrong, it's hollowing out the FBI. It, I think, partially explains his comical and ludicrous non-performance in the Charlie Cook case, where, think about it, it's being prosecuted as a state case because there's no place for the FBI. They're not competent. He couldn't even, Patel had to tweet and then retweet and take down, making false statements about the case. What? And then he's hollowing out the FBI. And Jen, here's the worst part of all, it's making you and Steve and me and all 3,000 people on this chat and 300 million Americans much less safe.
Exactly.
Because we count on the FBI and the DOJ to protect us. Not to mention that Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche don't know what's in the Constitution and in the First Amendment. That's another problem that they share with Kash Patel.
And she was so bad this week in saying that hate speech, which doesn't have a legal definition, is not protected by the First Amendment, that even conservatives were on her case. And Eric Erickson, who is a Republican, but a Republican with some sense of the Constitution, said she was really a disgrace and should go. Steve, one of the things that we see in tragedies like the Charlie Kirk murder is that both Republicans and the mainstream media, the legacy media, which takes stenography, wants to put this in the frame of left versus right. Was the killer a liberal? Was the killer a MAGA conservative? As if the entire universe and everyone's brain is wired as right versus left. But we know that often isn't the case. Talk to us as a student of history and a student of these incidents, as to what this misses, this binary nonsense that everything has to be about whether you're pro-Trump or anti-Trump.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right to talk about it in a binary way, left, right, which is, in a way, it's the old way of thinking. And I think there's a younger generation, especially those who have been brought up in social media and brought up in, online world where they're accessing lots of ideas that pull them into lots of other dystopian worlds and so on. So in some ways, I get the speed with which the regime was looking to identify him as somebody on the left. They're using the fact that he has a partner who apparently is sort of transitioning, that somehow now sort of reinforces this idea he's on the left and not the right. I mean, they're looking for whatever they could, and they did it very fast. But it's old thinking, and it's wrong thinking, because it misses, I think, the complexity that especially younger people right now are coming to these issues, who haven't been raised in a world of Democrats and Republicans, and are just really looking sort of ideologically at a whole range of ways of addressing the world. And so, it's a mistake, I think, for anybody who's sort of observing it to look for, clutch onto those kind of ideas.
And it overlooks a whole world of gaming and dark web, which really can only be described as nihilistic.
Yeah.
violent, as performative, as alienated from society. And by forcing it to this right left, we ignore the obligation of these platforms. We ignore the necessity of parents, teachers, community people to make sure our young people don't get sucked into this. And the point you make about trans people is incredibly important. From what we know, the only thing we know, the only connection we know so far is that this person is patriotically cooperating with the police. So we have
A
to.
good American, can't we just say that? I mean, somebody who understands the rule of law and their responsibility as a citizen.
Exactly. So that should be celebrated. Um, we are staring at a shutdown, Norm, because the Republicans can't keep the government open. I have been shouting from the rooftops, and a few people seem to be listening, and that Democrats shouldn't give their votes away, that they should get something for this. And I make a suggestion today in my column that one of the things they should get is a reaffirmation of the First Amendment and
accessibility shortcuts
on using government funds to violate the First Amendment. Norm, we sense a kind of listlessness, a lack of direction or strategy. Is it going on behind closed doors, or are they really kind of adrift at this point?
Well, friends, one thing you will never get from Jen Rubin and me and the Contrarian is listlessness. Sometimes Jen comes and actually stands on my rooftop and shouts to the neighborhood, and we welcome her to do that. It is a very pro-democracy neighborhood. I think that the um, challenge is one that your column today attempts to meet. You had a very good column on this point last week on what the Democrats' red lines should be. It is a good thing that the Democrats in Congress are not simply giving their votes away for free. But what should the simple, powerful rallying cry around the Republican failure? They have the votes. They have a trifecta. It is up to the Republicans to govern. And they have become so corrupt that they and confused that they are, and chaotic, all the C words, that they are unable to govern. So this is on them. Personally, I agree with Jen Rubin, and I know friends are watching, including Up on the Hill. I agree with Jen Rubin. We need to define this Republican failure in terms of basic things that they are not doing. There was another C word that I think is also relevant: corruption. Donald Trump and his cronies are shaking down the United States foreign partners. It's specifically forbidden in the Constitution for billions, billions. So there's certainly a rich agenda of issues, and now we will see the Democrats have drawn a line, and that is a good thing. We wanted them to do that before here on the Contrarian. And what is the simple message? I know I have my own. It's not exactly the same as Jen's. Contrarians, it will shock you before we do what we're looking forward to for the week to know that Jen and I do not always agree as we talk to each other all day long. Jen, I think we should have a new super tier of paid subscribers who fund all of the Contrarian and all of our legal work, who get to be on the Jen Norm live cam all day long as we try to figure out.
Put a GoPro on your neck.
We try to figure out what is the right thing. I mean,
My goodness.
But I think the failure to protect health care for millions of Americans, it's a simple thing. Republicans are failing to protect your health care, America. They will not have our votes as long as they are surging. Over 10 million Americans are going to lose health care, or your premiums are going to go up $18,000 a year. That's a simple message. Republicans have to. They're failing, and that's what they have to deliver. Impoundment is another one that's kind of hard to understand.
Before we get to our favorite part, which is what we are looking forward to, I would be remiss if I didn't comment on the spectacle going over across the pond in the UK. Steve, what's your view of the King of England? Not even rolling out the red carpet, but the pomp, the circumstance, the flattery, the
Carriages, the horses.
it's really kind of over the top, even for the British royalty, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, let's just say we hope that when Trump got to Windsor, that he saw the projections from protesters of him and Jeffrey Epstein in that famous photograph. So the protests are real, but the dare I say, the surrender, the capitulation, the willingness to treat Donald Trump like he's a conquering hero come to the UK is, I think, disgraceful, and I think it's a problem because it does send a message that it's okay to sort of do business with this guy who is at home is causing such danger. So I get it that that the king is thinking maybe I can help to move things a little bit. Starmer, the prime minister, is thinking maybe I can secure things, new trade deals, new arrangements with the United States and Trump. But we know how long that lasts once it gets going. There may be a positive that happens for a day, and then it's just right back to the same problem.
I mean, how far is this going to go? They're going to pin some made up new, order of the Trump on his shoulder, or let him wear the crown for a few minutes. I mean, it gets to be comical, and it's pathetic. He's like a child, give him a band,
Dare I say that the New York Times was sort of reporting about it as if it's the royal family in Britain meeting the new royal family, the Trumps.
It's revolting. Now that the New York Times has been sued, I'm seeing a new rigor in their commitment to talking about what's actually going on. But it's pathetic.
Yeah.
All right, I'm bursting to say what I'm looking forward to.
What are you looking forward to, Norm?
Jen, I am looking forward to rolling out the Contrarian on new platforms. Jen and I have been talking about, to go with our sparkling new merch, we're going to be doing much more, not only here on Substack, which we love, but on YouTube. So stay tuned. I've been working all morning on a memo to our editor-in-chief. That's what I'm looking forward to.
We are looking forward to that as well. Steve, what are you looking forward to?
So if I can bank on Norm's approach, let me just put one thing out there, which is I'm looking forward to the continuing growth of the community of America. So I hope people here are having a look at the writing and realize that there's also a very thoughtful and dynamic community in America as well. But specifically looking forward, I'm looking forward to the No Kings protest on October 18th. I'm hoping that the numbers reach 12 million or more. 3.5% of the population starts to be a level that can drive change based on sort of the history of a political change movement. So I'm hopeful for that. I'm looking forward about 400 days to the midterms, that maybe we can look at the end of total control by Trump and the regime. I'm looking forward to one day that's a really boring day where nothing is happening and I can really take it off, because right now I don't see a single day on the horizon like that.
Absolutely, Steve. And your community, what you've built, is so wonderful. And we absolutely support you. And I think our missions are very much allied.
Right, we are.
I am looking forward to getting my merch, which I have just ordered, and you can order too. I've got myself multiple shirts coming in multiple sizes. I've got another mug coming, and I have a tote bag coming. And you can get all of that for yourself, your family, right now. So if you go to our Substack, first of all, if you're not a paid subscriber, become a paid subscriber, and then order away, because you know what? You should be proud at a time that people are trying to shut you up to let your words and your shirt speak for you. So please enjoy yourself at our merch shop, buy and wear your gear, and we will look forward to seeing you tomorrow when we have more on Coffee with Contrarians. Steve, thank you so much for joining us. It was such a pleasure. We're going to have you back soon.
Thanks so much.
And thank you,
pleasure.
Contrarians, for making it all
Check out
possible.
America. Check it out, friends.
Bye-bye. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.